The ex-Tennessee cop caught in a sex scandal sues the city. He's caught in a sex scandal. He's suing the city. In an update, Lewis Powell, former cop with the Vergne Tennessee Police Department, has filed a racial prejudice lawsuit after his termination following a public sex scandal involving Megan Hall. Powell filed a $3 million lawsuit against the city. Former police chief Chip Davis, Mayor Jason Cole, Human Resources Director of La Vergne, Andrew Patton. Powell is also requesting front pay, back pay, and attorney's fees. The lawsuit follows a sex scandal that resulted in the termination of 5 police officers and the suspension of 3 last January after it was revealed that 27-year-old Megan Hall had tryst with at least 6 other officers and had a threesome with one officer and his wife. Hall is accused of having a fetish for Black men. Powell claims he was terminated, while white officers involved in the scandal were not. Hall claims it's the pictures. So I'm trying to read, I'm looking at the pictures, and I'm thinking about what went down here. And it may be immature, but I just want to explain why I keep pausing. And I apologize to you at home, but you try it, okay? Hall claims her supervisors and the chief of police groomed her for sexual exploitation. She filed a sexual exploitation lawsuit against the city. Former chief of police Davis, Henry Ty McGowan, and Powell last February. Powell's a 15-year veteran of the LPD, and the counterclaim says it was Hall who first repeatedly approached him for sex acts. Despite them both being married, he admitted to engaging in oral sex with Hall, but claims that after he tried to break it off, Hall called him a, quote, homosexual. Is there no crime that you people could be fighting, helping people, passing out turkeys? What are we doing here? Hall, Powell, Patrol Officer Juan Lugo, Detective Seneca Shields, Sergeant Ty McGowan, and Chief Davis were all terminated. Patrol Officer Patrick Maglicchio, Canine Officer Larry Holliday, and Patrol Officer Gavin Schober suspended for trading naked pics with Hall. Maglicchio and Hall reportedly had a threesome with Maglicchio's wife. That was at a party. Davis allegedly received explicit videos of Hall pleasuring herself. Hall later spent 3 days in a mental facility, which prompted the investigation. She claimed to have a history of mental illness. So I've talked a lot, Rayyvana. I think we're going to let you start this one and perhaps end it too.
Well, I think this is a really fascinating story because it is a story of imperfect victims. And I'll just start with the way that this story was broken. She was institutionalized. She attempted to take her own life, or was on the verge of attempting to take her own life, partially over the sex scandal. It hadn't broken yet, but just the relationships and the struggles that she was going through there. And she, in her complaint, showed pretty irrefutable evidence that the department and the officers involved planned on making this public in a way to frame her as the perpetrator, to frame her as a seductress within the office, to, should sort of frame it as though that her lust was decaying this police department. And that is how the story took off. That is how everybody remembers her. Despite that, her complaint, I think, shows, again, irrefutable evidence that she was the victim of workplace sexual harassment, beyond a shadow of a doubt. They were exchanging nude photos of her without her consent. She alleges that she was sexually assaulted on multiple occasions. I think that her complaint even shows instances of quid pro quo sexual harassment, that she had to continue to engage in these sexual relationships in order to maintain her current job status or be open for promotion in the future. That being said, it doesn't mean that there wasn't other instances of consensual sexual relations that she had with members of her department. She concedes that in her complaint. And it also doesn't mean that this officer wasn't the victim of race discrimination, even if he was involved in the workplace sexual harassment. The fact that the black officers were fired and the white officers who were just as guilty in upholding this sex discrimination in the workplace were not fired. I think that shows the prima facie case of not sex discrimination, excuse me, race discrimination in the workplace.
Mhm.
It is a complicated story. It is a story that is been going on for about a year now. And I think the only way we're going to get to the truth of the matter in these cases is for them to go to trial. And although most lawsuits don't go to trial, I think that the intense factual disputes in these cases make them ripe to be the type that we will see go all the way to trial. And it'll be really interesting when we get the full story, when we see the full picture of what was going on. There is solid evidence. It's not just a he said, she said necessarily. Emails, text exchanges, the official investigation from the department. But there's a lot that is yet to be revealed. And I think we're just going to have to sit back and recognize that story is probably going to come back quite a few times before there's any resolution in it.
Yeah. Let me call Vinnie Politan over at Court TV because they'll be salivating over this one. I mean, it's a real case and nobody's going to cover it like they will. It is sort of, and thank you, Rayyvana, that's why I just dumped it on your lap. But for all of this to happen in the workplace, to paint this woman as this temptress, seductress, loose woman, when it's more the facts show the victim. And if everybody knew and everybody was trading this stuff, this is the culture of this police department. And likely, you're right. You don't keep the white officer, fire the black, whatever. Sounds like more people needed to go, not less, is what it sounds like. But we'll keep following it. We'll see what Vinny and the team over at Court TV does.